Hi, it's another day with the Needle Woman, and I sincerely appreciate you guys. First, I want to apologize for a lot of us that felt confused with the very last tutorial we did. And it is for that reason that I shall be repeating some of those things we talked about at our last tutorial. And that's the same reason also I am putting on our last tutorial. Some of you talked about the measurements, some talked about the joining, some talked about the strip here. Today I want to explain all of that, and I shall also, for today's tutorial, be making something like this, but this time it's going to be a bustier here and then a dress with still spaghetti strip. I hope you guys are following me. Alright, first, for our previous tutorial, I want to explain some points. Now for my off shoulder, if you look at this dress I'm wearing, you will see it's an off shoulder dress. Assuming I didn't put the hand, it's going to be like this. It's an off shoulder dress. And so for my off shoulder, it is usually, I normally remove 7 inches from here. Now if my half length from my shoulder is 17, I will remove 7 inches. Normally others will tell you they remove 4 inches, but let's look at it. If you remove 4 inches, you can see the 4 inches, but I remove 7 inches. I hope it's very, very clear. All right. And with that said, for the measurement of this top I'm putting on now, you measure from here, from the upper part of your bust. That is from after you have removed your 7 inches. You measure from here to your under bust. That's the first measurement. Then from your under bust, you take another measurement to the desired length of your top. I hope this one is now very clear. Now, we took our bust measurement, but it is meant to be used for the back. It is not for the front because this place has gathers. So the bust measurement we worked with was for the back. I hope that also is settled. Now, for the strip, for this spaghetti strip, since I normally remove 7 inches for my off shoulder, and then at this back here I went down in order to achieve this little curve at my neckline for the back. I went down by 3 inches. That is to say, what we have here now is 4 inches. Remember, normally I remove 7 inches for my off shoulder. Now if I went down by 3 inches here, it means that what I have here now is 4 inches. Now if I am to add that 4 inches for the back and then the 7 inches for the front here, is going to give us 11 inches. So 11 on both sides will give us 22 inches. Now I also said, in order to determine here not to be so wide so that some part of your body will be showing, in order to do that you have to measure your front side where you want the spaghetti strip to fall. And I did my own measurement and I got 10 inches. I hope you can see it. So that is why for the length of the strip we used, it was 32 inches. I hope it's very correct. It's very clear to you, sorry. Now for this back, because there is no cut here, what you got from here to your under bust, and then from your under bust to the desired length, is the same thing you will get from up here down. That is to say, assuming the length of our top now is 19, what it means is that from this point to this point might be 10, then from your under bust to the desired length is 9, making it 19. So that at the end of the day, the measurement at the front and the measurement at the back is all the same thing. I hope I have cleared the air on that. And then we talked about the blouse hip. That is the wideness at this hem line. It depends on how wide you want it to be or how slim you want it to be. You can do that measurement by yourself. Also, we measured the waist. I mean this point, a little bit under the under bust. I hope you can see it. We also measured the waist. So if you go back to watch that video again, for those of us who are saying they are confused a little bit, if you now go back, you will understand, having explained it so far. Alright, for the armhole, I went down a little. I didn't measure it, but you can choose to measure. If normally your armhole is 9, since your strip here is 7, it means you will just go down by 2 inches to achieve your normal armhole, except you want it to be a little bit lower than usual. Thank you. So for today's tutorial, this is what we are going to be making. It is similar to our previous class. That is why I chose it, so that the explanations I gave in our previous class and the ones I will give today will help us to actually get it very, very right. So for today's tutorial proper, I shall be using this fabric. It's not much, but this is what I shall be using to achieve our tutorial for today. So here we go. I folded my fabric into two. I also removed 1.5 inches as my zip allowance at this end, not the folded edge. At this other side, I removed 1.5 inches for my zip allowance. Now, in order not to confuse you this time around, let's do it this way. Since I'm making an off-shoulder kind of dress, I've removed my 7 inches. But for those of us who still find it difficult, I'm going to draw that 7 inches out on my cutting table. This is what I mean. This is my 7 inches. So in case you find it difficult to cut an off shoulder, you can do it this way. This is my 7 inches. So it's assumed now that our cutting starts, our material starts from this point. Okay. With that done, I will measure my shoulder. Remember, I shall be putting a spaghetti strip to it. I measure out my shoulder, which is 8 inches. If I'm to extend it, it will extend to this point. I hope it's very clear. This is my zip allowance. I hope you are following. Okay. Now this is my armhole, 9 inches. This is my armhole, but I won't be removing it now. My bust measurement is 42 divided into 4 will give us 10.5. 10.5. I will also include my seam allowance of 2 inches. This is not up to 2 inches, but it is still okay. So this is my bust measurement, 10.5. If we are to put our allowance, it means it will get to this point. Okay. Our waist measurement is 36 divided into 4 will give us 9, which is here. I'll be putting that, so I will include 1 extra inch for my dart, and then my 2 inches seam allowance. Okay, now for my half length measurement, that is from the upper part of my chest to my under bust, I'll be using 10 inches, which is here. Now, if you are to measure from up here, for those of us who are confused, it will still give you 17 inches. I hope you can see it. Now I will add my 1 inch or half an inch allowance. I will use 1 inch. I'm going to now extend the lines. I hope this is very, very clear. Alright, for this armhole now, I will just curve it. With that done, I will now determine where I want my spaghetti to start from, where I want my strip to begin from. Assuming we are putting sleeve, this is where we are going to attach our sleeve. But because it is not a full sleeve, we are not putting sleeve, you have to determine from your neckline to your shoulder line where to include the strip. First of all, let's measure out our neckline. For my neckline, I think I will use 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches. Okay, now my spaghetti strip must have to fall between this my shoulder here. This is my armhole here and my neckline here. It has to fall somewhere at the middle so that it will be a balanced handle. I hope I'm communicating very well. With that being said, it's either you determine the midpoint of these two. If you measure from the armhole to my neckline, what you have is 3.5. So after determining the midpoint, which is here, you can now extend this your armhole a little bit closer to this midpoint so that when you are attaching your strip, your spaghetti, it will fall at the center and then it will balance very well at the back. This is what I mean. You can decide to go in by 2 inches or by 1.5 inches. I hope I'm communicating. So if we are to go in by 1.5 inches, it will leave us here. 1.5 inches at the other side from the neckline, it will leave us here. So this now is very balanced. I hope it's very clear. And then for the depth of my neckline, I will use 3 inches. So now I'm going to connect my neckline to this point, not to my original measurement of this neckline. I will connect the depth of my neckline to this 1.5. Remember, this is our original neckline. I hope I'm not confusing you again. This is our original neckline, but because we are putting a spaghetti strip, it cannot fall here. That spaghetti hand cannot be here. It has to be at the center between the armhole and then the neckline measurement. That is the shoulder. It has to be at the center of the shoulder so that it will hold firmly. Okay, so I'm now going to connect the depth of my neckline measurement to this 1 inch I went in by. This is what I mean. And then I will now also connect my armhole to the other side of it. So this is what we have. And then I will remove the excesses. Okay, so here we go for the front side. So here we go. Having removed or minus our 7 inches, I will take my shoulder to bust point measurement, which is 12 inches. I'll add 1/2 inch extra for allowance. My shoulder to under bust measurement, which is usually 3 inches from my shoulder to bust point measurement. So I'll measure 3.5 inches. So I will now extend this into a straight line and also my under bust into a straight line. Okay, the length, our half length is from my shoulder is 17, but for my off shoulder is 10 inches. I will also add 1 inch extra for allowance. So I'll extend these 3 lines into a straight line. I will also take my bust span measurement, which is the distance from one of my nipple points to the other one, which is 4 inches. I will add 1/2 inch extra for allowance. So I will measure this 4 inches all the way down and all the way up. Sorry, 4.5 inches all the way down and all the way up. And I will make it into a straight line. Now with this done, I'll place my tape on top of my shoulder to nipple point measurement. I'll go up by 1 inch. I'll come down by 1 inch. I've actually made a tutorial on how to make an off-shoulder bustier pattern. So I'm just doing this for formality's sake. Remember, this second line is our under bust. So placing my tape like so, I will come out to this folded side by 1 inch. I will go in by 1.5 inches. And then on my waistline, I will just take 1 inches on both 1 inch on both sides. 1 inch here, and the other side 1 inch. So on my chest line here, remember this is my chest line. On my chest line here, I will also come in towards the folded side by 1 inch. Then on this other side, because I want it to have a very firm hold, I will go in by 1.5 inches. So 1 inch here, 1.5 inches on the other side. Okay, now we are done with the markings. The next thing is just to join this 1 inch to this point. Remember, I went up by 1 inch. I also came down by 1 inch at the bust line. This is our chest line, this is our bust line. Okay, so I'll just connect it like so to this 1 inch. I'll connect this one also. I hope it's clear. I will also connect this 1 inch I went down here by to this 1 inch, and also to this 1.5 inches, like so. And then I'll now connect it finally to this 1 inch. I hope this is very clear. Okay, now I will now place my body measurement. My bust measurement is 42 divided into 4 will give us 10.5. Placing my tape at my bust line, I'll measure out 10.5, which is here. I'll also add 2 inches extra for allowance. Now my waist measurement is 36 divided into 4 will give us 9, which is here. Remember, I took 1 inch on each side, making it 2 inches extra. So I'm going to replace it here, 2 inches, and then I'll put my 2 inches extra for allowance. I hope it is very clear. Okay, so I'll place my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. But remember, I removed 1 inch on this side and 1.5 inches on this other side, making it 2.5. So this is 8 inches. I will also add the 2 inches I removed here. Sorry, the 2.5 inches. It will leave us at this point. Okay, and now since we removed already 7 inches, my armhole is 9. All I need is just 2 inches extra, which is here. So this should form my armhole. Now, having determined my armhole, I will just go in more by 2 inches. This is where my spaghetti strap will be placed. So all I need to do now is to just connect this from these 2 inches down to my armhole. So this now is my armhole. I will now go ahead and cut out the markings. So here we go. You make sure that this point is not sharp at this bust line. At this bust line, make sure that it is not sharp. It's not supposed to be sharp. All right. So this is it. So our spaghetti is falling around here, this point. All right, so I will just go ahead, cut out my, let me also add, the front is going to be straight like this. I don't want to give it any curve or whatever. I want it to be this straight. Okay, so I'll just go ahead, cut out my wooding for it and my lining also. line all of them. So for the lower part of our dress, I will do my first fold, then I'll do the second one, leaving only the zip allowance. Then I'm going to place my body measure. My waist measurement is 36, divided into 4 will give us 9. I will add 1 inch for that, and then 2 inches extra for seam allowance. My hip measurement is 44. It's not so tight. I'll also add 2 inches extra for allowance. And then the length of this down part is 25, which is here. I will not be removing the excesses, rather I will use all of it as my fold. This is our actual length, but I'll be folding the whole of this inside. I will not be cutting it off. So I'll just connect the body measurement. So this is it. I will also cut out the lining for it. Alright, so this is the front panel. I've actually put them together. I've not lined it. This is also the lining. I lined it first with an interlining to give it some weight. In lining this front panel, this is how I'll move. Let me use my chalk so you understand what I mean. This is half an inch. This is half an inch. So I'll walk through here, through the armhole, stop at this point, do the same thing at the other side, stop at this point, and then I will start from here again where you have my marking, and then stitch the neckline or the chest line, this chest area. Remember I said I'm leaving it straight like this. All right, and then for the back side I already lined it. As you can see, I lined this way. I walked from the zip side to the neckline. I stopped here. I also left a space which is like half an inch. I included it when I was cutting. I hope you still remember. Then through the armhole again, and then to the waist area. I hope it's very clear. So here is actually open because this is where we shall be passing our spaghetti strip. All right, let me now go and line the front. So now, having lined both the front and the back panels and also the lower part of our dress, I will now proceed to insert the spaghetti strip. But for this particular one, it's not going to be as slim as this. I'll make it a little bit bigger at the shoulder here, but then here would still be as slim as this. Okay, now remember we minus 7 inches while we were cutting because we are making an off shoulder kind of dress. Okay, that is to say that from here to this place is 7 inches excluding any allowance, and the same applies for the back. So now I am going to use this 7 inches plus whatever is left at the back after we remove the neckline to form this strip. I hope it's very, very clear. Now I removed 3 inches for the volume of my neck at the back line, meaning that I have just 4 inches left. Okay, so I'm going to add up the 4 inches remaining, and then the 7 inches for the front is going to give us 11 inches. That is to say, for each of the handle is going to be 11 inches. I hope it's very, very clear. All right, let's just continue with the cutting of the strip. So I will be using the measurement of 3.5 inches for each of the strap. 3.5 inches, so that by the time I'm done folding it, I will have 3 inches or thereabout left. Okay. So this is for the two hands. And then remember, for the length of this strap is going to be 11. That is 7 plus 4, 11. But I'll just add 1 inch extra both for the front and the back. That is 1 inch for the front, 1 inch for the back. So I will now cut 13 inches. Okay, so having done that, as you can see, I also ironed it out. All I need to do, remember, the opening we have here is not that much, and this is the size of the strip I want to give it. It means that here is going to be very small to pass through here, so I'll just squeeze here, use my pin to guide it, and then from the reverse side on my back panel I'm going to pass it. Making sure that what I have here is just 1 inch. Remember, I gave an extra 1 inch for allowance, so I'll make sure that what I have here is just 1 inch. I will now stitch it up from the back side, from this reverse side. I will stitch it up. Okay, so as you can see now, I have stitched it at the back. You see what I mean? Here is tinier, and then this other part is a little bit bolder. Okay, so I would also fix it at the front panel. You can see my pin is still here, so I will just push this one inside. Making sure that what is left at this inner side is just 1 inch. I will also do the same thing at this other side. Okay, as you can see, I've fixed both the front and the back. Now I need to add something. While fixing, make sure that the crease at the back corresponds with the one at the front. You make sure that the crease at this point corresponds with each other, so that you don't end up having something like this after you are done. Okay, so I'll now proceed to now close up the waistline of both my front and my back panel. I'll also insert the dart for the back. Okay, so after closing up the waistline, I will now join them at each side using my body measurement. My bust measurement is 42, divided into 2 is 21, which I already marked out, as you can see here. My waist measurement is 36, divided into 2 will give us 18. I also marked that out, so I will just go ahead and join both the front and the back together. I also want to insert a little band at the waistline. I want to insert a little band at the waistline. I hope you are following. There is nothing much to it. You can choose the length of the band you want, whether you want to make it 3 inches, but I just want mine to be just very, very slim. That is why I used 2 inches. That is 4 inches. When folded, it became 2 inches. So when I join the two sides together, I will now insert my band before I now add or join the lower part of our gown. So now with the band inserted, I'm going to now join the lower parts of our dress, each to the corresponding side. So I'll be joining this one to the down part, I'll be joining this other one at the back side, then the other one at the back side. After this joining, I will now close it up finally. So this is it, our tutorial for today. It came out very, very lovely. And if you are yet to subscribe and you are still watching me, what are you waiting for? Just hit that red icon And don't forget to touch the bell so that once I upload, you get notifications. Thank you guys for your time. I love you from the bottom of my heart. And once again, I want to apologize for those of us who are confused about my previous upload. Sincerely, the intention is to educate and not to confuse. But I hope after today's explanations, it is well understood. Thank you guys once again. Until we get to see again in my next class, I love you and take care of yourself. Bye.